Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Informed in 5. Today's guest is Kara Sams, and she is here to share information about Cole's Law and its importance for people of all ages with disabilities in Mississippi. Kara is a mother of two and a former special education teacher. She is a board member for the Central Mississippi Down Syndrome Society and an ambassador for the National Down Syndrome Society. She is also the founder of two Facebook groups supporting and advocating parents and individuals with Down syndrome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kara. So we're going to go ahead and just dive right on in. So, what is Cole's Law and how did it become what it is today?
Cole's Law is a law that prohibits medical providers from denying individuals access to an organ transplant solely on the basis of a disability. I was online one day, I think I was on Facebook, and I saw a post about organ transplant discrimination, and I didn't even know there was such a thing. So I contacted the person that made the post, and I was asking her about it, and she put me in touch with her husband. And her husband's name was Wayne Pearl, and he was instrumental in getting Evie's Law passed in Louisiana. So he has kind of been my mentor throughout all of this, and he told me step by step what I needed to do to get the process going. So basically, I needed to find a legislator that would carry the bill. I reached out to my former pastor, Lee Yancey. He was not actually a representative at the time, but he was running for election. And so Lee knows Cole, he knows my family, and we have that connection. So I knew that he would be the best person to fight for this bill. So when I reached out to him and asked him, he said he would be honored. And a couple of months later, he was elected. And so it just went from there.
What inspired you personally to pursue this bill and getting it passed?
I have a 4-year-old with Down syndrome. And, the thought came to me if at any time he was to need an organ transplant, and I was told that he didn't qualify or he would be placed lower on the waiting list because he has Down syndrome. I don't know what I would do as a mom.
What population is at risk for not having such a law in place?
This can affect anyone with a disability, not just individuals with Down syndrome. It can affect people with autism or um, cerebral palsy, any disability.
How do you know how many states do have laws in place at this time?
Yes, it's already been passed in 29 states, and 13 states passed this law just this year.
Tell me, what year did this bill get started, and tell me a little bit about the journey that you've taken so far with Cole's Law from the beginning and where we are today with it.
In 2020, Cole's Law was introduced in the House, and it passed in the House. Um, COVID happened, and so the legislation was suspended. And then when it came back, when they convened, it died in the Senate. In 2021, it was not even given a chance. The chairman of the Public Health and Human Services Committee chose not to even bring it to the table, so it was never considered for a vote. And then we're hopeful that 2022 will be the year that it pushes through.
What is the process for getting it put back into up for consideration?
So Representative Lee Yancey will refile the bill, and then it will go from there.
What can our viewers watching today and those that are concerned about this, our state not having a bill in place for this, or a law in place for this, what can they do on their part to help get this bill passed?
The 2022 Mississippi legislation session begins on January 4th, I believe. So at that time, it's critical that everyone contacts their legislators and lets them know they want them to support Cole's Law. In the meantime, I have a Facebook group called Coles Law dash Mississippi that you can join, and I'll give updates and give tell you ways that you can support this law.
As a mother of a child with Down syndrome, why do you feel it is so important to have this bill in Mississippi?
Because I never know at any time what could happen with my son. Right now, I don't foresee any reason why he would need an organ transplant, but we never know what the future holds. I spoke to a lady named Kathleen, and she got Daniel's Law passed in Texas. And Kathleen had a brother with Down syndrome, and he was taking some medication, and that caused him to have kidney issues because of that. So he eventually needed a kidney transplant to live, and he was denied one, even after he has two brothers and two sisters, even after they wanted to be checked to see if they could be a match and even take that into consideration. So Daniel eventually passed away. And, just the thought of something like that happening to my son or anyone in Mississippi with a disability, that is, uh, that's, that shouldn't happen to anyone, just because, the doctor saw Down syndrome. They didn't see Daniel as a person, they saw his disability. And that needs to change. And it's time for Mississippi to step up and do something and protect its citizens.
And I have a feeling that the majority of people watching this probably aren't even aware that this kind of discrimination can take place, especially, in this time that we're living in. Why do you feel that Mississippi, as well as all the other states that haven't passed this bill, what do you feel is holding them back from not passing a bill like this? And why hasn't it, occurred before now?
Don't know why the legislators don't see this as that it's not important enough to pass through. I don't know. We haven't been given an answer why. I wish I knew.
That's where we need to have our Mississippians to really rally behind their representatives and really make their voices heard. So, what
Right.
is the best thing to do? To call, to email, to to meet with them, share stories. What do you suggest for people to really take action and do?
Personal stories are always the best. So if someone is watching that has a loved one with a disability, if they could let them know about that and why it's important to them for this law to pass. Phone calls, emails, but whatever you do, that's personal as you can make it, the best. Um, in the group Coles Law, I will share a little write up that people can email if they just completely don't know what to say at all. I can give them a little guidance in that. But personal stories are always the best.
Can you tell me just a little bit about Cole? And I know he's been your inspiration for this, but just a little bit about him and his personality, and just for people to know, just to get a clear image.
Yeah. Cole loves Elmo. He loves being outside. He loves playing in the water. He loves cookies and ice cream and swinging. And, he has just really been one of my greatest blessings. Um, yeah, he's full of life and he enjoys, he's, he, he's made us enjoy the littles, he doesn't get in a hurry. And it's just made us slow down and take the time to enjoy the little things.
And I know as a mom, it's just got to be so hard for you to fathom the thought that someone could not put worth and value on your child if he became sick. And that is just what is so heart wrenching about this, and why it's so important. Is you're literally saying that these children and these adults with disabilities are not worthy of a life-saving procedure, and it's just unimaginable. um, So yes, this is such an important bill, and it is so important for everyone to really get out there, let your voices be heard. Do not stand for this. We need to pass Cole's Law. Everyone needs to hear about this. Please share this. Please share the information. I'll be sure to put all of the contacts and links in with this video. So this is our time to 2022 will be the year that Cole's Law gets passed. And what would you like to say for that? Um, your hopes for the future, just trying to be positive. I know that there have been some things, very unfortunately it hasn't, passed yet. What keeps you positive and motivated to keep going with this?
Cole does. Yeah, I'll keep fighting until I can't fight anymore, because he's worth it. And every child, every person with a disability is worth it. Um, to have to fight for this in 2021 is, I just don't understand, why people with disabilities are not seen as any other person, to have to fight for equal health care as anyone else. You know, their lives are valuable and worthy just as much as anyone else.
And that's the thing too. A lot of people wouldn't even think about this until it affects them personally. And like you said,
Right.
it shouldn't have to get to that point of your child being sick and needing um, an organ transplant, or your parent and not having for them not to be able to be even considered. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kara, for coming on. And thank you for what you're doing, what you've been doing, what I know you will continue to do, being a fighter, an advocate, a voice. What you're doing is amazing. And just thank you so much for it. And thank you for coming on and sharing that information with us.
Thank you for having me.